relaxing Royal London walk. Its history was rich, layered, and visible in the contrast between old stone walls and modern glass towers. But Emma didn't want the usual crowded sightseeing trips. She was tired of rushing from one famous landmark to another, trying to capture the perfect photograph while dodging crowds of people. She wanted something different, something calm, peaceful, and a little magical. She had arrived in London early in the morning, the kind of morning when the city was still waking up. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of fresh grass and blooming flowers from nearby parks. Street cleaners moved quietly along pavements, their brushes sweeping away the remnants of the previous day. A few early commuters passed by, walking briskly with coffee cups in hand, their breaths forming small clouds in the chilly air. Emma loved mornings like this, quiet moments when the city hadn't yet revealed its usual noise and chaos. Earlier that week, Emma had been reading about walking routes in London. One article mentioned a royal walk that combined the beauty of the city's parks with glimpses of royal history. It wasn't a route many tourists knew about, which made it perfect. She loved the idea of wandering through peaceful gardens, walking under tall trees, and discovering quiet spots that held stories from centuries ago. The more she read, the more her curiosity grew. She decided that this walk would be her first adventure in London. Emma packed lightly for her walk. She carried a small backpack with a notebook, a bottle of water, a camera, and a light scarf. She wanted to be comfortable, ready to explore without feeling weighed down. London, she thought, was a city made for walking. Its streets invited exploration, and its parks promised quiet moments, hidden away from the bustling streets. She stepped out of her hotel, the door closing softly behind her, and felt a sense of anticipation. Today, she would not just see London, she would feel it. Her first destination was St. James's Park. She had read that it was one of the oldest royal parks in London, famous for its flowers, peaceful paths, and a beautiful lake where swans and ducks swam gracefully. As she approached the park, the city sounds softened. The honking cars and rushing buses seemed to fade, replaced by birdsong and the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Emma inhaled deeply. The air smelled fresh, a little earthy, and completely different from the enclosed spaces of shops and cafes. Walking through the park gate, Emma noticed the wide green lawn stretching in front of her. The grass was vibrant, dotted with early blooms, bright yellows, pinks, and purples that looked like tiny jewels in the morning sunlight. A few early risers were already in the park, jogging along the paths or walking their dogs. There was a calm rhythm to it, almost like the park had its own heartbeat, separate from the city outside. Emma smiled. She loved how a simple walk could make her feel so alive and peaceful at the same time. She wandered closer to the lake, where a group of swans glided elegantly on the water's surface. Their reflections shimmered in the sunlight, moving with each gentle ripple. Emma crouched slightly, taking out her camera to capture the scene. She loved photography not for perfection, but for the way it forced her to notice details: the curve of a swan's neck, the soft glimmer of water, the subtle shadows under a tree. Every element felt alive, a small story within the larger story of the park. A wooden bench near the lake invited her to sit, and she took the opportunity to rest for a moment. Around her, the sounds of the city were distant, replaced by nature's gentle chorus. A soft breeze made the leaves dance, and the sunlight created moving patterns on the path. Emma opened her notebook and began writing. She wanted to remember every detail: the colors, the sounds, the peaceful feeling that seemed to slow down time itself. She wrote about the swans, the flowers, and the quiet laughter of a child running nearby. Even small moments, she realized, could hold great beauty. As she continued walking, Emma noticed how carefully the park was designed. Paths curved gently, leading visitors through different areas of the park without ever feeling crowded. Tall trees lined the walkways, their branches forming natural arches that made her feel like she was entering a secret world. Here and there, statues and fountains hinted at history, telling stories of people who had walked these grounds long before her. It was as if the park had been waiting for her to discover its secrets. Emma's steps were slow and deliberate. She wanted to notice everything: the texture of the leaves under her fingers, the sound of water splashing against the shore, the distant hum of traffic beyond the park walls. She passed a small cafe tucked into a corner, its windows fogged slightly from the warmth inside. A few early visitors were enjoying tea and pastries, their quiet conversations blending into the calm atmosphere. Emma made a mental note to stop there later. It seemed like the kind of place where time slowed down naturally. As she walked further, she saw a small bridge crossing a narrow section of the lake. She paused, watching the reflection of the trees and sky on the water. A mother duck led her ducklings beneath the bridge, their tiny movements creating ripples that spread across the surface. Emma felt a smile spread across her face. It was moments like these that reminded her why she loved walking in new cities. It wasn't about seeing famous landmarks. It was about experiencing life quietly, noticing the small details that others might miss. Time seemed to stretch as Emma continued her stroll. She found herself wandering along winding paths, discovering hidden corners of the park that felt like private gardens. Birds flitted among the branches, and the scent of flowers grew stronger as she approached the flower beds. She imagined the people who had designed the park centuries ago, carefully placing each tree, fountain, and bench to create a sense of balance and beauty. Even now, hundreds of years later, it worked perfectly. By mid-morning, Emma had walked nearly halfway through the park. She paused on another bench, this time near a small fountain. Water bubbled gently, the sound soothing and rhythmic. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the peace of the park fill her senses. The city outside seemed far away, almost unreal. Here in the heart of London, she had found a quiet sanctuary. Emma's mind wandered as she rested. She thought about the stories she would later tell in her writing. How London was not just a city of monuments and history, but also a city of hidden calm, waiting to be discovered by those who slowed down enough to notice it. She realized that this walk was the beginning of something special. It was more than a route through a park. It was a journey into the heart of the city's quiet beauty. Finally, Emma rose from the bench, feeling refreshed and inspired. She knew that the walk was only beginning and that more discoveries awaited her. The city was alive, full of stories, and she was ready to uncover them one step at a time. With a deep breath, she continued along the path, ready for whatever wonders the royal walk would reveal next. Emma stepped out of St. James's Park, her mind still lingering on the serene lake and the graceful swans. The morning air had warmed slightly, and the sun now glinted on the historic buildings nearby. She looked around, noticing the contrast between the calm of the park and the quiet hum of the city streets. London, she realized, had layers, some noisy, some peaceful, and some waiting quietly to be discovered. She had only just begun, and she was eager to see where this royal walk would lead next. Her plan was simple: to follow a route that took her past several royal sites, winding streets, and hidden gardens. She wanted to experience London as it had been intended, for leisure and beauty, not just for sightseeing. The streets near the park were lined with elegant buildings, their brick and stone facades glowing softly in the morning light. Tall windows reflected the sky, and iron gates hinted at private gardens behind them. Emma walked slowly, taking in the details, noting how carefully everything seemed arranged to create a sense of harmony. Soon, she reached a quieter street that led toward the Mall, the wide avenue famously lined with trees and stretching toward Buckingham Palace. The avenue was nearly empty at this hour, except for a few joggers and a couple walking hand in hand. The trees on either side formed a canopy, their branches stretching overhead, filtering the sunlight into soft patches on the pavement. Emma felt a calm excitement as she walked beneath them. This was London at its most elegant, yet still intimate, far from the tourist crowds. As she moved forward, the sound of distant music reached her ears. A brass band was practicing somewhere near the palace, their notes gentle and warm. It reminded her that this city was alive with both history and present life. She paused for a moment, listening, and let the music blend with the natural sounds around her. The soft rustle of leaves, the occasional bird call, and the distant footsteps of other early walkers. It was a harmony she had not expected but deeply appreciated. Emma decided to take a small detour into one of the side streets leading to a hidden courtyard she had read about. The entrance was almost unnoticeable, tucked between two buildings. As she stepped through, she found herself in a small, peaceful square surrounded by old brick houses. Potted plants lined the edges, and tiny fountains gurgled quietly. It felt like stepping into a secret world, a private corner where time had slowed down. Emma walked slowly, her fingers brushing over the smooth stone of the fountain, feeling a connection to the many people who had passed through this space before her. After exploring the courtyard, Emma returned to the mall. She was now closer to Buckingham Palace, though the gates and surrounding gardens kept the palace itself at a gentle distance. She admired the perfectly manicured lawns and the symmetry of the hedges. From afar, she could see the palace's grand facade, its historic windows and ornate stonework glinting in the sunlight. The sense of history here was palpable, yet the area felt calm and inviting rather than imposing. Emma imagined what it would have been like for people centuries ago, strolling along the same paths, perhaps enjoying moments of quiet reflection just as she was now. Continuing along the mall, Emma noticed the Queen Victoria Memorial ahead. The monument was grand, yet in the morning light it appeared soft and almost serene. She walked around it slowly, studying the statues and the detailed carvings. The figures seemed to tell stories of courage, service, and dedication. Emma paused at one angle and took a photograph, not just of the monument itself, but of the way the sunlight played across the marble, highlighting some parts while casting gentle shadows on others. Photography, she realized, allowed her to slow down even further, noticing beauty in small details others might overlook. From there, she moved toward a quieter path that led into Green Park. Unlike the structured elegance of the mall, Green Park was simpler, more natural. Grass stretched across gentle slopes, dotted with mature trees whose thick trunks spoke of decades, perhaps centuries, of growth. Emma felt the change immediately. The air here seemed fresher, the city noises softer, replaced by birdsong and the occasional rustle of small animals in the underbrush. She walked along winding paths, letting herself drift with no strict direction, simply following the beauty of the park wherever it led. As she wandered, she noticed families and couples enjoying the morning. Some were walking dogs, others pushing strollers, and a few were simply sitting on benches reading or sketching. Emma smiled, feeling a sense of shared calm. Everyone seemed to have found a personal moment of peace, yet the space was open and generous, never crowded. She felt grateful for the design of the park, for the thought that had gone into creating spaces where people could connect with nature and history at the same time. A small pond caught her eye, almost hidden among a cluster of trees. She approached it and watched as a few ducks paddled leisurely, their reflections mirrored perfectly in the still water. Nearby, a gardener tended a flower bed, planting bright pansies and tulips. Emma watched quietly, feeling inspired by the care and attention that went into maintaining these spaces. She realized that the calm she felt was not accidental. It was the result of generations of careful planning and ongoing care. Further along, she discovered a winding gravel path shaded by tall, leafy trees. Sunlight filtered through the branches, creating shifting patterns on the ground. Emma walked slowly, enjoying the sensation of the gravel beneath her shoes and the gentle play of light and shadow. Occasionally, she paused to take photographs or make notes in her notebook. She wanted to capture not just the visual beauty, but the feelings, the peace, the calm, the sense of stepping out of the city's rush into a slower, more thoughtful rhythm. Emma's journey through Green Park reminded her of something important. Walking was not just about moving from one point to another. It was a way to experience a city deeply, to notice small wonders, and to feel connected to both nature and history. She thought about how different this felt from the typical tourist experience, where people hurried from monument to monument without pausing to breathe or notice. Here she was free to follow her curiosity, to linger where she pleased, and to let the city reveal its secrets at its own pace. Eventually, Emma reached a small hill within Green Park. She climbed it slowly, her breath slightly quicker from the gentle incline. At the top, she paused, looking back over the park. The view was breathtaking. The soft greens of the grass, the deep tones of the mature trees, and the distant sparkle of fountains created a scene that seemed almost painted. She felt a quiet joy, a sense of accomplishment for discovering these hidden corners of London without the crowds or noise. It was a moment she wanted to remember forever. Sitting on a bench at the top of the hill, Emma took out her notebook and began to write. She wrote about the gentle swaying of the trees, the sunlight on the paths, and the calm feeling of walking without a strict plan. She wrote about the small moments, a bird landing on a branch nearby, the distant laugh of a child, the soft whisper of wind through the leaves. Every detail mattered. She felt as if she had stepped into a different world, one where time slowed and the beauty of the present moment was all that mattered. After a while, Emma rose and continued her walk. She had heard that the next part of the royal route would take her toward quieter streets and hidden squares, away from the more formal parts of the parks. The thought excited her. London, she realized, was full of surprises. Even though she had been in the city for only a few hours, she had already discovered so much beauty and calm that was unknown to most visitors. She felt a sense of gratitude, as if the city itself were welcoming her, sharing its secrets one step at a time. Her pace remained slow, deliberate. She took her time crossing streets, noticing the architecture of the buildings around her. Some were old, with ornate doors and intricate brickwork. Others were newer but designed to blend into the historic streetscape. Emma admired the way the city balanced history with modern life, creating spaces that felt alive and lived in, yet respectful of the past. Every corner seemed to offer a small story, waiting to be noticed by someone willing to pause and look. By late morning, Emma was ready for the next stage of her walk. She felt invigorated but not tired, her mind alert to the quiet beauty around her. The Royal Walk was more than just a path through parks and streets. It was a journey into the heart of London itself. Emma knew that the coming hours would bring more discoveries, hidden gardens, quiet squares, and perhaps encounters with locals who could share their own stories of the city. She felt a sense of anticipation, eager to continue, yet content with the calm she had already found. Emma's walk through the parks and avenues of London was shaping up to be more than she had hoped. It was a gentle introduction to the city's quieter side, an invitation to slow down and notice. She felt connected to the city in a way that sightseeing alone could never provide. Every step, every glance, every sound seemed to carry a story, and she was ready to listen. With a deep breath, she set off again, following the path toward the next hidden gem, eager for the discoveries that lay just around the corner. Emma left Green Park behind, carrying with her the calm and quiet she had discovered among the trees and gentle slopes. She followed a narrow street that led her toward one of London's quieter corners, away from the busy tourist paths. The buildings here were older, with brick facades that seemed to have stories hidden in every window and doorway. It was easy to imagine generations of Londoners walking the same streets, going about their daily lives, their footsteps blending into the rhythm of the city. Emma loved how these hidden streets made the city feel more intimate, more alive in small, personal ways. She paused at a small square that she had read about, almost hidden behind a row of townhouses. It was filled with potted plants and benches arranged in a friendly, welcoming way. A few people were quietly enjoying the morning, sipping coffee or reading newspapers. Emma noticed a woman painting on a small canvas, carefully capturing the shapes of the trees and buildings around her. She smiled at the artist, who nodded in return, sharing a moment of quiet understanding between strangers connected by the beauty of the space. Emma felt inspired to sketch something in her notebook, capturing the small, peaceful details of the square. The walk continued, and Emma soon found herself entering a narrow lane lined with tall hedges and hidden gardens. She could hear the distant hum of traffic, but it seemed far away here, as if the lane had its own gentle world. Birds chirped overhead, and the scent of fresh flowers mingled with the crisp morning air. Emma slowed her pace, letting her curiosity guide her. She peeked through wrought iron gates into private gardens, glimpsing roses climbing trellises, lavender swaying in the breeze, and small fountains tucked among stone paths. Each garden was like a secret waiting to be discovered, and Emma felt a sense of delight with every new find. As she walked further, she noticed a small plaque on one of the buildings, explaining a bit of history. It described how the area had been home to important figures in London's past, people who had contributed to the city's growth and culture. Emma read it carefully, imagining the lives of those who had walked these streets centuries ago. She loved how history seemed alive here, not confined to museums or textbooks, but present in the very stones beneath her feet. Each step felt like a connection to the past, a quiet conversation across time. Emma's route led her to another hidden courtyard, smaller and quieter than the first. The space was shaded by tall trees, and sunlight filtered through the leaves in soft, moving patterns. A small fountain bubbled gently in the center, and benches invited visitors to sit and rest. Emma took a seat, letting herself relax completely. She listened to the water, to the distant birdsong, and to the soft footsteps of a few other walkers who were also enjoying the morning. In this quiet corner, she felt a deep sense of peace, as if the city itself were offering her a moment of calm. After a short rest, Emma continued her walk. She moved through streets that opened onto slightly larger squares, where small cafes and bakeries added a touch of life to the quiet surroundings. She stopped at one cafe with a tiny outdoor seating area. The smell of fresh pastries was irresistible, and she decided to enjoy a cup of tea and a warm croissant. Sitting there, watching a few locals greet each other with smiles, Emma felt a sense of belonging. Even as a visitor, she could feel the rhythm of everyday life here, the gentle patterns that made a city feel lived in and welcoming. Refreshed, Emma left the cafe and headed toward a lane she had heard about that led to a secret garden connected to a royal palace. The path was lined with old stone walls covered in ivy, giving the impression of stepping into another world. She slowed her steps, savoring the quiet and the anticipation of discovering the garden. When she finally arrived, the space took her breath away. It was a small oasis of greenery, filled with blooming flowers, neatly trimmed hedges, and a few wooden benches tucked in shaded corners. A soft breeze carried the fragrance of roses and jasmine, making the garden feel almost magical. Emma wandered along the gravel paths, exploring every corner. She noticed a gardener tending to the flowers, gently trimming leaves and arranging blooms in a careful, artistic way. She smiled and nodded, feeling grateful for the care that went into creating such beauty. The garden seemed alive yet serene, a perfect combination of nature and human touch. Emma found a bench under a large oak tree and sat down, letting the tranquility sink into her. She opened her notebook and began to write, capturing the sounds, colors, and scents of the garden. Time passed quietly as Emma explored the garden. She found small details that made her smile: a tiny bird hopping along a flower bed, a butterfly resting on a bright bloom, the subtle movement of sunlight across the paths. Every detail seemed to invite reflection, a reminder to slow down and appreciate the present moment. Emma thought about how easy it would be to rush through this space without noticing these small wonders. Walking slowly, she realized, allowed her to experience the city on a much deeper level than any guided tour could offer. After leaving the garden, Emma continued along the path that led toward a historic square. The square was surrounded by elegant townhouses, their brick and stone facades glowing warmly in the mid-morning light. Small shops lined the edges, offering handmade crafts, books, and delicacies. Emma walked slowly, peeking into shop windows and admiring the artistry of the displays. The area felt vibrant yet calm, alive without being overwhelming. She imagined the stories of the people who lived and worked here, contributing quietly to the life of the city. She discovered a small fountain in the center of the square, where a few pigeons gathered, cooing softly. Emma watched them for a moment, noticing the way they interacted, the gentle rhythm of their movements. It reminded her that even in a city as large and busy as London, there were small moments of harmony, small pockets of life that moved at their own pace. She felt grateful for having stumbled upon these quiet corners, hidden from the main streets and tourist crowds. Continuing on, Emma found herself in a narrow alley that led to another secret garden. This one was even smaller and more intimate, almost like a private courtyard. Tall hedges and climbing roses enclosed the space, creating a sense of complete privacy. She walked along the paths, noticing the delicate patterns of flowers and the careful arrangement of stones. A small bench invited her to sit, and she took the opportunity to pause once more. The garden seemed to hold its own rhythm, a quiet pulse that invited reflection and calm. As she rested, Emma observed a few other visitors who had discovered the garden. They moved quietly, speaking in soft voices, respectful of the peaceful atmosphere. Some were reading, others sketching, and a few simply sat, lost in thought. Emma felt a sense of connection with these strangers, sharing the experience of finding calm in a busy city. She realized that these hidden spaces were not just physical, they were emotional sanctuaries, offering a chance to breathe, reflect, and feel a little closer to the world around her. After some time, Emma rose and continued her walk. The streets led her toward a historic avenue that ran along the edge of another royal park. She could hear the faint sound of water from fountains in the distance, and the air smelled faintly of flowers and fresh grass. The avenue was lined with mature trees, their branches forming natural arches overhead. Sunlight filtered through, creating soft patterns on the pavement. Emma felt a sense of calm as she walked, enjoying the gentle rhythm of her steps and the quiet beauty around her. She paused at a small gate that led into a section of the park less visited by tourists. The paths here were winding and shaded, and the air was filled with birdsong. Emma wandered slowly, letting the scenery guide her. She discovered a small pond, its surface perfectly reflecting the trees above. A few ducks paddled leisurely, creating gentle ripples in the water. Emma sat on a nearby bench, taking out her notebook once more. She wrote about the calm, the beauty, and the sense of being part of something timeless. The sun had risen higher now, warming the paths and casting soft light on the trees and flowers. Emma realized that hours had passed, yet she felt refreshed and alive, not tired. Walking in this way, she understood, was different from rushing through sights. It was a way to connect with the city, with nature, and with herself. Every hidden garden, quiet square, and peaceful path had contributed to a sense of calm that she would carry with her long after the walk ended. Finally, Emma rose from the bench and continued along the path, eager to see what other hidden treasures the royal walk might reveal. She felt a sense of anticipation and curiosity, knowing that the city still held many surprises for her. Each step brought a new discovery, a new quiet moment to cherish. She smiled to herself, grateful for the gentle rhythm of the walk, the hidden corners of London, and the calm she had found in the midst of such a vibrant city. Emma had been walking for several hours now, yet she felt no fatigue. The calm and quiet of the hidden streets, gardens, and parks had filled her with a gentle energy that was different from the usual excitement of sightseeing. Each step along the Royal Walk had revealed a new layer of London, its history, its beauty, and its unexpected pockets of peace. As she continued, Emma began to reflect on the deeper meaning of this journey. It was more than a physical walk. It was a meditation, a way of connecting with the city and with herself. She wandered into a slightly larger square, one that still retained the quiet charm of the city's hidden corners. Benches were scattered near a small fountain, and the soft sound of water created a peaceful background music. A few people strolled casually, some walking dogs, others talking quietly in pairs. Emma took a slow, deep breath, letting the sounds, smells, and gentle motion around her fill her senses. She realized that part of the magic of this walk was noticing life in its ordinary, yet beautiful form. The laughter of children, the cooing of birds, the soft rustle of leaves, all combined to create a harmony that was easy to take for granted if one hurried through the streets. Emma found a bench beneath a large oak tree and sat down, opening her notebook once again. She began to write, not just about what she saw, but about how she felt. She wrote about the calm that had settled over her mind, the way the city seemed to slow down when she slowed down, and the sense of being part of something larger than herself. She thought about how rare it was to find quiet spaces in a busy city like London, and how important it was to cherish them when they appeared. In these hidden corners, she realized, one could hear not just the city, but also oneself. She watched as people moved around her. A mother guided her child gently toward the fountain, encouraging the little one to toss a coin and make a wish. An elderly couple walked hand in hand, smiling at each other as if the rest of the world had disappeared. A man sat quietly on a bench, sketching the scene with careful lines and shading. Emma found herself smiling at these small moments, understanding that these simple acts of living were just as important as grand monuments and famous landmarks. They were the life of the city, quiet but essential, and she felt privileged to witness them. After some time, Emma rose and continued her walk. The path led her into a narrow lane shaded by tall, leafy trees. Sunlight filtered through the branches, creating patterns that danced gently on the ground. She paused occasionally, noticing small details. The way ivy clung to an old brick wall, the soft petals of a flower peeking through the cracks, the faint sound of water from a hidden fountain. Every detail seemed to hold meaning, a reminder that beauty was often found in small, unexpected places. Emma reached a corner where the lane opened into a small, private garden. The entrance was almost hidden, tucked between two townhouses, and she had to step carefully to notice it. Inside, the garden was a quiet oasis. Colorful flowers bloomed in carefully arranged beds, and a small stone path wound through the space. A fountain gurgled softly in the center, and a few benches invited visitors to sit. Emma felt as if she had discovered a secret world, one that had existed quietly for years without being noticed by most people. She walked slowly along the path, letting her eyes linger on the details. A gardener appeared, tending to a row of tulips. He moved with careful, practiced motions, trimming leaves and arranging flowers with a quiet dedication. Emma paused to watch him, appreciating the work that went into maintaining such beauty. The garden felt alive yet serene, a combination of nature's effortless charm and human care. She realized that these hidden spaces were treasures not only because of their beauty, but because of the attention and love that sustained them. It was a gentle lesson in patience and appreciation, one that she would carry with her long after leaving the park. Emma found a bench under a flowering tree and sat down. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the calm of the garden fill her completely. The sound of the fountain, the rustling leaves, and the distant hum of the city beyond the walls created a gentle symphony. In this quiet she felt her mind clear, her thoughts slowing down, and her heart filling with a sense of gratitude. Walking through London in this way, she realized, was not just about seeing. It was about feeling, reflecting, and connecting with the world around her. After a while, she opened her notebook and began to write again. She wrote about the contrast between the calm of these gardens and the bustling city streets she had walked through earlier. She wrote about the joy of discovering hidden corners and the simple pleasure of being fully present in each moment. She wrote about the people she had seen, the details she had noticed, and the sense of connection she felt to both the city and its history. Writing helped her understand the walk on a deeper level, turning observations into reflections that she could revisit any time. Once she felt ready, Emma rose from the bench and continued along the path. The lane led her toward another quiet square, slightly larger than the previous ones. The space was framed by historic buildings, their brick and stone facades glowing in the soft sunlight. Small shops and cafes lined the edges, their displays inviting but not overwhelming. Emma strolled slowly, letting her curiosity guide her. She peeked into shop windows, admired handmade crafts, and noticed small details she might have missed in a hurried walk. An intricate sign, a colorful window display, the scent of fresh bread wafting through the air. As she wandered, Emma thought about the rhythm of the walk itself. Each step, each pause, each discovery was part of a gentle cycle that allowed her to experience London fully. She realized that walking slowly was a form of meditation, a way to open her senses to everything around her. The city was alive, full of small stories, quiet moments, and unexpected beauty. By taking the time to notice them, she felt a deep sense of peace and connection. Emma found another small bench near a fountain and decided to rest once more. She watched as a few pigeons hopped along the edge, occasionally dipping into the water. A man fed them quietly, scattering a few crumbs, and the birds responded with soft coos and gentle movements. Emma smiled, feeling a sense of harmony in the scene. Even in a busy city, life moved in gentle rhythms if one paused long enough to notice. These small moments of calm, she thought, were some of the most precious parts of traveling. The sun was now higher in the sky, casting warm light on the paths, trees, and flowers. Emma continued her walk, moving toward a section of the park that was less visited and almost hidden from the main paths. The trails here were narrower, lined with tall hedges and flowering shrubs. Birds sang from the branches, and the soft rustle of leaves created a gentle soundtrack for her steps. She walked slowly, savoring each moment, knowing that these hidden corners held some of the city's most enduring beauty. Emma paused at a small wooden bridge that crossed a tiny stream. She leaned on the railing, watching the water flow gently beneath her. The reflection of the trees and sky shimmered on the surface, creating a peaceful, almost magical scene. A few ducks glided past, leaving soft ripples in the water. She closed her eyes, listening to the sounds, feeling the sun on her face and letting the calm of the moment settle deep within her. This was the essence of her royal walk: quiet discovery, gentle reflection, and a connection to the city in its most serene form. Finally, Emma rose from the bridge and continued her journey, feeling a renewed sense of calm and clarity. She realized that this walk was teaching her more than just the beauty of London's hidden spaces. It was teaching her patience, mindfulness, and the value of slowing down. By walking slowly, noticing details, and reflecting on her surroundings, she had discovered a deeper connection to the city and to herself. Each path, garden, and quiet square had added a layer to her experience, making the walk not just a journey through London, but a journey into the heart of calm and awareness. As Emma walked on, she felt a sense of gratitude. She had discovered hidden gardens, quiet squares, and peaceful paths, and she knew that these experiences would stay with her long after the walk ended. London had revealed itself in a way that few visitors experienced, offering her a sense of connection, calm, and reflection. She smiled, knowing that the final part of her walk would continue this journey, perhaps offering even more moments of discovery and serenity. Emma's walk was nearing its final stages, yet she felt far from exhausted. If anything, she felt more alive, more aware, and more deeply connected to the city than she had ever imagined. Each step she had taken through London's hidden gardens, quiet squares, and winding streets had filled her with a calm sense of discovery. Now, as the afternoon sun warmed the paths, she felt a gentle energy that was different from the excitement of sightseeing, a calm, steady rhythm that seemed to come from being fully present in the moment. She moved toward Kensington Gardens, one of the last stops on her royal walk. The garden stretched before her, filled with broad lawns, tall trees, and flowering shrubs. Unlike the earlier parks she had visited, Kensington Gardens had a more open, airy feel, with wide paths that invited slow walking and quiet contemplation. Emma stepped onto one of the paths, her footsteps soft against the gravel, and felt a sense of anticipation. She knew that the final part of her journey would offer new discoveries, yet she also understood that this section was a space to pause, reflect, and truly absorb all that she had experienced. The first thing that caught Emma's attention was the sunlight filtering through the branches of mature trees. The patterns of light and shadow danced on the path, moving gently as the wind swayed the leaves. She paused for a moment to watch a small group of squirrels darting through the branches, their tiny movements quick and playful. Nearby, a family was having a quiet picnic, children laughing softly as they played on the grass. Emma smiled, feeling a sense of contentment. These small, peaceful moments were what made the walk so meaningful, the simple rhythms of life that often went unnoticed in a busy city. Emma wandered along a winding path that led toward the Serpentine, the wide lake that stretched through Kensington Gardens. She stopped at the water's edge and gazed at the calm surface, watching as ducks and swans moved gracefully across it. The reflection of trees and sky shimmered in the water, creating a scene so serene that she almost felt as if she had stepped into a painting. She took out her camera, not to capture perfection, but to capture the feeling, the stillness, the harmony, and the quiet magic of this space. Photography, she realized, was a way to notice details that might otherwise slip by unnoticed. As she walked along the lake, Emma noticed a few artists set up along the path, painting the scene before them. Their brushes moved deliberately, translating the gentle ripples, the sunlight, and the shadows onto their canvases. Emma paused to watch, feeling inspired by their concentration and dedication. Each stroke of paint seemed to mirror the rhythm of the park, capturing the essence of the moment. She realized that the royal walk was not just about observing beauty, but also about participating in it in her own way, through photography, writing, and mindful attention. A little further along, she discovered a quiet corner of the gardens where a small fountain bubbled softly. The area was shaded by a large oak tree, its branches forming a natural canopy. Emma sat on a nearby bench, letting the sounds of water and rustling leaves wash over her. She thought about the day's journey, the parks, the hidden gardens, the quiet streets, and the small squares she had explored. Each part had been a story in itself, a lesson in patience, mindfulness, and appreciation. The walk had shown her that beauty was often found in subtle, overlooked places, and that slowing down was the key to noticing it. Emma opened her notebook and began to write, capturing her reflections. She wrote about the gentle rhythm of her steps, the calming influence of the gardens, and the way the city seemed to breathe with her. She reflected on the people she had seen, families, artists, joggers, and gardeners, and how their quiet interactions added life to the spaces. She thought about how these hidden corners allowed people to pause, reflect, and feel a connection to the world around them. The walk had become more than a journey through London. It had become a meditation on living slowly and noticing the small, precious details of life. After writing for a while, Emma continued along a path that led to the Albert Memorial. She admired the grandeur of the monument from a distance, yet it felt harmonious rather than overwhelming in the context of the gardens. The golden statue and intricate carvings gleamed in the sunlight, a reminder of history, art, and dedication. Emma paused to take a few photographs, appreciating both the monument itself and the way it blended with the surrounding natural beauty. She thought about how the Royal Walk balanced human creation with the natural world, offering spaces where both could coexist peacefully. The afternoon was growing warmer, and Emma felt the soft pull of tiredness in her legs, yet it was a pleasant fatigue, the kind that came from walking slowly and fully experiencing a place. She paused near a bench under a tall tree, watching as a few people rowed small boats on the Serpentine. The gentle motion of the water, the soft laughter of children, and the occasional splash of a paddle created a gentle rhythm that matched the calm of her mind. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting herself fully absorb the peace around her. Emma reflected on how different this experience was from her usual travels. Often she had rushed from one landmark to another, focused on ticking off places from a list rather than truly experiencing them. But this walk had been different. It had taught her the value of slowing down, noticing details, and appreciating the present moment. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunity to experience London in this way, to discover its hidden corners and quiet spaces that many visitors never found. Continuing along the path, Emma wandered toward a smaller, secluded garden near the edge of Kensington Gardens. The entrance was partially hidden by flowering shrubs, and she almost walked past it without noticing. Inside, the garden was intimate and peaceful, with winding gravel paths, colorful flower beds, and a small fountain in the center. Emma wandered slowly, exploring every corner, noticing the delicate petals of flowers, the soft movement of leaves in the breeze, and the gentle trickle of water from the fountain. It felt like a private sanctuary, a space where she could reflect quietly before ending her walk. She found a bench tucked beneath a flowering tree and sat down once more. The garden seemed alive yet completely serene, a perfect combination of nature's beauty and human care. Emma thought about the people who had maintained these spaces over the years, quietly contributing to the calm and beauty that she now enjoyed. The walk had shown her that the city was not just its monuments and streets, but also its hidden gardens, quiet corners, and thoughtful designs. It was a city full of life and history, yet it also offered moments of stillness and reflection if one knew where to look. As the afternoon light softened, Emma began to make her way toward the exit of the gardens. She felt a sense of completion, knowing that her journey along the Royal Walk was almost over. Yet she also felt a sense of fulfillment, carrying with her the calm, the discoveries, and the reflections she had gathered throughout the day. The city had shared its secrets with her, and she had walked slowly enough to notice them. Each garden, each square, and each quiet street had left a mark on her, a memory of peace and beauty that would last long after she returned home. She paused briefly at the edge of the gardens, looking back at the paths she had wandered. The memory of swans on the lake, flowers in hidden gardens, and sunlight filtering through leaves filled her mind. She felt a gentle smile spread across her face, a mixture of contentment and gratitude. London had revealed itself in a way she had never imagined, quiet, peaceful, and full of small, beautiful moments waiting to be discovered. Emma walked the final stretch back toward her hotel, her steps slow and thoughtful. She noticed details she had missed earlier, the texture of the cobblestones under her feet, the patterns of shadows cast by tall buildings, the soft sounds of the city blending with nature. Even as the walk came to an end, she felt a sense of connection to the city that would stay with her. She had discovered a side of London that few visitors saw, a side full of calm, hidden beauty and quiet joy. By the time she reached her hotel, the sun was beginning to dip lower in the sky, casting golden light across the city. Emma paused for a final moment to take it all in: the streets, the gardens, the parks, and the soft hum of city life. She felt renewed, inspired, and deeply grateful for the experience. The royal walk had been more than a physical journey. It had been a journey into the heart of calm, mindfulness, and appreciation for the small wonders of life. As she stepped inside the hotel, Emma felt a sense of quiet fulfillment. She knew she would write about this walk, not just to share the sights she had seen, but to convey the experience of slowing down, noticing details, and finding peace in unexpected places. London had given her a gift, the gift of calm, reflection, and connection. And she knew that the memory of this walk, with its hidden gardens, quiet squares, and serene parks, would stay with her forever, a gentle reminder of the beauty that exists in every corner of the world if we only take the time to look.